So, Jono, a 3-1 victory. You must be absolutely delighted with that one.
Yeah, after a draw on Saturday, which was a decent performance in its own right. We knew for that to be a good point at home to Bedford, we had to sort of back it up with a win tonight, especially with the amount of away games. I think we've got 4 away games now out of the next 5. So we knew it was an important night for us tonight. I think the top 4 all played each other, so you knew someone was going to give there. So we've had to impress on the lads how important tonight's game was. Listen, no different to any other game, but more so to get back on that run after drawing on Saturday. So really pleased with a lot of the performance against a good side who have a right handful up top, by the way. But yeah, dead pleased with the 3 points.
Certainly so. I'd certainly vouch for that as well. But 6 unbeaten now and 1 defeat in 9. It's not bad reading, is it?
No, it's not. It feels every game you go into, you're confident, you believe in what you're going to do, you believe in what we do in training, you believe you can then replicate that on the pitch. As I always said, there's an opponent in front of you trying to stop you doing all them things. But having that belief and that confidence is brilliant, but you've just got to be so careful you keep your feet on the ground. You don't become complacent with it. And that's the one thing we talk about all the time. So, a 0-0 draw against Bedford, the way Bedford played on Saturday, wasn't about being complacent. It was about an opponent being tough to break down, hard to beat, and posing us a real problem on the break tonight. We knew Darlington had been away at Leamington on Saturday, plenty of time on the coach then, great win. They'd probably start fast, but we knew that the gaps would open up with the way they play. Play a 4-4-2, 2 banks of 4, can be hard to break down, but I thought we was, probably for the first sort of, after 10 minutes, probably up until the 7th minute, we were total dominance. They had a couple of half chances, in fairness. Myself and Byrne made the subs, where we used all the subs, and then we practically played with 9 men for the last 10-15 minutes, and they came into their own and they started asking some real questions with Cedric Main and Mask up top. They're a right handful, and they're not, Darlington are another club like Hereford and Chesters, ex-league clubs that want to be amongst the top end of the table. And I think at this moment in time in this league, I think you put a couple of wins together, you're a couple of points up the playoffs, and you're in a good place again. So I don't think they're anything near looking like what they will be, bottom 6 or 7 or wherever it is they are tonight. I think they're much better than that, and they posed us some real problems and asked us some real questions, but we stood up to it. As I said, we everything that we talked about and looked at doing on the training ground, we looked like tonight, and when we went forward, we looked like we was going to score with most attacks.
Just want to touch on one word there. You said confidence, and I think it's important that we know the game almost switched when Rio missed his penalty, but then 10 minutes later really demonstrated that swagger and that confidence to go again, didn't he?
Yeah, listen, it takes big balls, as a young man to after you've missed a penalty. With all the pressure on him at this moment in time, young lad, lots of talk about him, and then getting a second penalty a few minutes later and burying it the way it did. It takes a lot of character, that. And he's got that attitude. You said about swagger. He definitely plays with that swagger, but he's also got real strong resilience and mentality about him. And you saw that, with his second penalty. So don't like talking about being brave. It's a game of football, but to step up again against arguably the best keeper in the league and put it in the other corner was great to see.
Certainly was, and his 2 fellow forwards, Michael Afue and Jordan Hume, also getting on the score sheet. Jordan's a nice, cute little back heel, and Michael Afue, didn't he take his goal well?
Yeah, Jordan's were beautiful, cheeky little goals. He's probably done that a few times since he's been at Radcliffe over the last 2 or 3 years. He's a bit like we talk about with Rio, where you don't know what's coming next. With John, you do know what's coming, but it's hard to stop him. Whether it be them little back heels that he's always trying, or whether it's him chopping against the opponent in the box, he's a bit of a menace like that. And I think him not starting and coming on tonight did him the world of good. He's had a lot of starts. He's about 42 in the next couple of weeks, so he had to rest his old legs. I think coming on and seeing the game and seeing how well the forwards are doing, that he knew he had to come on and play his part. Got the goal, and then Mikey's. We've talked, myself, Byrne, the coaching staff, have talked a lot with Mikey about he needs to add numbers to his game, because all the dribbling and getting people on the edge of the seat and being exciting and getting us up the pitch, we all love that. But you've got to have goals, you've got to have assists, and he started to do that. The goal was beautiful, really well taken finish. And then, obviously, his body seized up and after we'd made all the subs, but it was a great performance from Mikey tonight. I thought on Saturday he flattered to deceive a little bit, got in good areas and probably didn't provide the cutting edge that he has done for a lot of the season. But I thought tonight he was a constant. He was relentless in his work, in possession, out of possession. But when he got squared up 1v1 with his opponent, he put him to bed most times.
Just want to touch on Matthias Huart as well. I think really came into his own this season. Maybe last season made a few mistakes which were costly, but this season we talk about how Rio exemplifies confidence. Seems to be that same belief that from Huart, who made a number of great saves as well and was a large contributor to the 3 points going our way as well.
No, I'm glad you said that, pal. I think he goes under the radar because he's been here since we've been here. Probably played close to, if not over 100 games now for the football club, and he did fall below his own standards last year. He'll be the first to admit that, but his bounce back ability, his resilience in himself this season has been incredible. He looks like he did when he won the League Player of the Year 2 years ago, and he's a top goalie. That's why we're stuck with him for so long. We've been loyal to him, he's been loyal to us, and you've seen the performances from him. He made I think it was at 0-0, he made a brilliant save from Cedric Main, I think it was, a snapshot, great save to keep us in the game. He's done that in most games this season. And listen, don't underestimate the job that Mark Helsted's coming in, pushing him. They get on brilliantly. They don't live far from each other, but they are pushing each other. They both want that number 1 shirt, but both knew in pre-season, whoever we went with, and Mark's had a couple of injuries, that they would keep the shirt. And Matthias has been outstanding, but as a unit. They've been fantastic. Matthias' performance tonight, brilliant. We've got couple of young goalkeepers out on loan at this moment in time in the North West Counties, are both for first and second in that league. Brad Sullivan and Brad Rose, who are flying, and we've got a couple of other young lads, other keepers as well. We've probably got the best stable of goalkeepers at this moment in time around this area for in terms of non-league. So it's good to see. But the number 1 at this moment in time, Matthias, is really showing his value, and the performances game after game are where we expect him to be and where he expects to be.
We touched on the attacking acumen. I want to touch on the defensive resilience as well. Although they landed a glove on us quite late on, I think really we're limited a very strong physical Darlington side to very little. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I think we've been brilliant. I think the lads were gutted because that would have been 2 clean sheets on a bounce. I'm just looking now what we conceded there. 1, 2, 3, 4 goals in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. That's that for the way that we play and the goals that we score and the chances we create and the bodies we push forward. We hang them out to dry at times. Ollie Thornley, who's been unbelievable this season, missed the last 2. Cal McFadden has come back in after injury, been outstanding. But I think the 2 next to them, Lois and Brad Roscoe, in particular, have been unbelievable. Me and Byrne posed some real questions about them lads last year, and it was the only place we didn't really feel like we wanted to add to, because we felt last year some of the lads underperformed, whether that be Lowe, Rick, Ol, Roscoe, any of them lads, and Matthias, who you include yourselves, and we know how good they are, and the way they bounce back, they look like the best unit in this league at this moment in time. Because as I say, it's not like we're not having to defend. The way we play naturally makes us defend in certain areas, and having to defend a lot of the times 1v1, and they've been outstanding. So I think all over the pitch, I think we're not carrying any players. We rotate the team most games. The lads on the bench are champing at the bit, and in fact, there's only Hallam over the last few games who hasn't managed to get on. Obviously, he's had an injury and a bit of illness, and it's kept him out. But he's hungry himself. But the squad are pushing each other. Everyone's really pushing the teammates who play in their position, knowing that, because when I get my shirt, I want to keep it. So, and that's what we want. That's what we try to create.
Yeah, we could speak all night about how well this season's going, how well tonight went as well. But now our attention turns to a difficult task on Saturday. Difficult place to go any time of the year. But our attention turns to Kings Lynn Town. Obviously, you'll enjoy this one tonight, but what are your early thoughts ahead of that one? Yeah,
listen, I've enjoyed the Darlington game. It's done, it's finished, it's gone. When you have a quick turnaround Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, all focused on the game on Saturday. It's a tough one, don't get much tougher than Kingsland away. Again, another side, full time, that will be wondering what they're doing in the table at this moment in time. I haven't won for a while, but lots of very tight games, draws, lost by the odd goal. They're a good side, really good side. So we'll focus on them tomorrow. It's a tough, long trip this weekend. But we've been outstanding away from home as well. So we'll do our normal diligence as we always do on the opposition. Focus on ourselves and go there excited and believe that we can. If we perform well, we should at least get a point.
And then finally, in just one word, what do you want to see from your Radcliffe side on Saturday?
Graft. Same as we expect out of every single game. there's a lot of things that you don't have control over, but we control our work ethic and our work rate. And I think every time we play against an opponent, they can see how fit we are, how organised we are. But most of all, that we'll always try and put 100% into every single performance. So if there's one word, what we always look forward to, and that's the graft from the lads.
Cheers, John.